Melissa, welcome to the Retail Whore podcast.
Thanks, Michelle. Happy
I
to be here.
I'm so excited. I'm not gonna lie. I have not been shy about how obsessed I am with your store and your Ranchy McRanch. So I'm like so grateful that you're on this because honestly, like for those who don't know, I have a job up in Solvang and your store is near there. And I'm like, I'm gonna just go stop in and hopefully not sound like a stalker. So it was so amazing to see your store in person.
No, it was so great to meet you in person. I mean, we have pretty similar paths and a lot in common, so we could probably talk for years.
I love it. And I think I was there for an hour and I left like so happy. So tell everyone about your store and your brand.
So the store is sort of elevated urban cowgirl. We opened 6 months ago in SantaYnez, which is horse, ranch, wine, cowboy country, cowgirl country. And I really wanted to honor its roots by keeping it sort of Western, but putting my spin on it, which is the same thing I did when I was building our house here. We bought some land before COVID and I was like, let's ranch, but let's ranch our way. So it's sort of like, let's cowgirl, but let's do it our way with the shop. So it's playful and it's fun and it's kind of tomboy, kind of sexy, a little punk. It's less girly than maybe some of the other things we've seen around, which is amazing. And they have such a market as well. But I wanted to sort of bring my aesthetic to it.
It's I mean, honestly, like I said, it takes a lot to gobsmack me because as I told you, and as I've talked about on the podcast, is I've been in retail since I was 14 and I have literally seen and done almost every single job that has been out there. And there's something about finding a retailer and the aesthetic that you have that rarely blows me out of the water. So I don't know how I found you on Instagram. I have no clue. All of a sudden it popped up and then I started like digging. And then I found your Ranchy McRanch and became completely obsessed about that. And, the more I saw, and my favorite is the quote that's for the store is that if Georgia O'Keeffe and Dolly Parton crashed Fashion Week, like that can't explain it any better.
Good. I'm glad. It was sort of a fun moment when I came up with what would be on our sandwich board, and maybe there'll be a future tea made out of it. But it does sort of really embody, the shop, and the fact that we are not taking ourselves seriously. We're having fun with fashion, and it's just supposed to make you feel like you're going to walk in here, you're going to have a good time, and you're not going to see what you typically see, which I hope then comes across in the items as well.
I mean, I want to talk a little bit more about the store, but I like because there's like I want to dive into some of the stuff that I saw and fell in love with. But tell me a little bit because you were a couture upholsterer, and I've never heard that term. So
Me neither. I
about,
hadn't planned on being one.
about your time in New York and how you ended up. Were you born and raised in New York, or were you?
No, I was born in Westlake, grew up in Orange County, California, moved to England when I had a 1 and 2 year old child with my first husband. And I was a dependent on his visa. So he was sent there to open a UK division of his company. And I was not allowed to work. I'm a worker like you. So I thought, well, I mean, I do have a 1 and 2 year old, but what am I going to do to sort of exercise my creativity and my interest in being involved in a lot that London has to offer? So I started going to the antiques market. It was right near my house. I used to have to wear a head torch. It was really dark in the morning, and I'd get there really early, and it was all these incredible antiques. I mean, when you're in England, you have people coming from Italy, France, everywhere, Spain, with the access to beautiful antique furniture is unlimited. So it was like kid in a candy shop.
Wow.
And I have like a very weird chair fetish. So I started collecting these chairs. And then I signed up for a traditional upholstery course, which is like you're using horsehair instead of foam. You're using these big long needles. It's a study of knots and twine and Hessian bandaging when the frame needs some restoration. And it's like a little discovery of the past because you strip the furniture and there'll be notes from previous upholsterers. I found like French knickers in a pair. I found tuppence from when that sort of currency was used in England.
Wow.
Notes from upholsterers, like I put this little brace here, or I added this knot here because of, you know, whatever. So it's like a little time vault, which was cool. And after a couple of years, I was allowed to work, and I saw a chair in Vogue, and it was called the Money Penny. And the chair looked, it was a Victorian slipper chair, and she looked like a Vogue, I'm not a Vogue, a Chanel tweed suit. And
Wow.
she had like pleating down the sides and these really beautiful tweed buttons. And it was all done by this upholsterer, Avine Daly. And so I think I had some wine and I emailed her thinking like, oh, she'll totally want to be friends, you know, and thinking I'll know, you know, the morning I wake up, I'm like, I'm never hearing back from her. And right away it was like, do you want to come down? Do you want to, you know, have
Amazing.
coffee? Yeah. And so I started as her apprentice, and she's a couture upholsterer. So it was really gowns on furniture, um, with incredible installations, the windows of liberty, private clients, hotels, commercial spaces. It was just like such an incredible experience.
Oh my God. I love how you call this the Chase she.
Yeah.
I don't know if
I
anyone
mean, like
thought of that,
she's
but I
all
love
curvy and little and beautiful, and
that. I love that.
girl.
How long did you do that? How long were you with them and how long were you in London for?
6 years in London. And I could have stayed there forever selfishly. But the plan was to be there for 2. So we had certainly overstayed. And my entire family is in LA and Orange County. And I moved there with a 1 and a 2-year-old, and they didn't know their cousins, their aunts, their uncles, their grandparents. And I love my family. We're all super close. So I really felt like I was gypping my kids, and I was gypping my family of my kids. And I thought if it was just me, I'd do this forever. But they also did a lot of reading about a identifying with a nationality as a child, and it was just important to me that we came back, um, and that's why we ended up in Laguna Beach after 6 years in England.
When you all came back, did you all have British accents?
I didn't, because I made a concerted effort not to get one, because it really bugs me when American women go over there and then they're suddenly English, and it's like,
Madonna.
no, Madonna, to name a few. But my children had full English accents, and that's like literally 90% of the reason I moved there, so that they would have accents.
Oh, how cute. They
And
still have the accent now?
no, like
Okay.
3 minutes after moving back to Laguna Beach, they were like, you know, we were in England, and they were like, "Mummy, can we have the Fit Lips?" Like everything took like 10 minutes, and then I seriously landed, and they were like, "Bro, dude, mom," and I was like, "No, you were so much cuter with an accent." And it's funny, my daughter is 19 now, and she's like, "Do you know how hot I would be with an accent?" I was like, "Girl, I tried. I tried everything.
You didn't want it. That's hilarious.
I
So
did
you
my
go back
best."
to Laguna. Now you're near your family and you open. Is this where the first Brass Tack started?
I did managed a custom furniture manufacturing showroom in Newport Beach, once my kids got enrolled in school in Laguna, and then I switched to running production for them in downtown LA. So I would drive to downtown LA every day.
Laguna?
Yeah,
Oh,
which
gorgeous.
was too much. But I loved running production. I loved being with the carpenters and the welders and the seamstresses and the upholsterers. Like, I love the process of making. So I didn't mind the drive because it was so fun to me. And then, yes, the drive became too much. I became director of production at Richer Poorer, the clothing brand, which the owners, Tim Morris and Eva Pauling, are still friends, and their brand is doing so well. Their company's doing so well. But then I went out on my own and started Brass Tack.
You've got such a rich history. I love the fact that you know production in furniture, and I'm sure some of it applies to apparel, but you know, the two I feel like go so hand in hand. Did you make a upholstery for, or we could do upholstery for your stores?
Initially, I opened Brass Tack in Laguna Beach to be a retail experience plus a tutorial studio where people could bring in their own furniture, and I would tutor them through the process of recovering it. But the space I found was little, and the access to antiques in Orange County are not the same as in London. So
what is this?
I was like, no, we're not going to do
Not an
your IKEA
antique.
chair. Yeah. Yeah. So I got a lot of like, will you do the boat seats, of my boat, or will you heighten, or will you cut out a place for my pocket in the driver's side seats? Because I keep my wallet in my pocket. And I was like, no, end my life. So that whole idea like faded quickly.
I'm surprised you don't do it just for the store, just to have a couple like interest pieces in there, because everything's so detailed. My gosh, I'm in my little shed now. Dave built
Yeah.
my shed, and I have French doors, and there's no latch to keep it from like slamming. So I
Oh
apologize.
no,
Hear this in the background.
I haven't heard it, but with the 25 animals here, I'm really impressed that we've had silence so far. So
I'm so
we'll roll with it.
excited.
But when you do something like for so long and it's so labor intensive, like you just stop and you're like, no more. That's kind of where I was, but I just pulled a frame out of our garage that I want to do like a crazy print on it to put in our living room, or maybe like a hot pink mohair or something. So I'm sort of getting like a little bit of it back and pulling out the old tools.
I never, I am creative, but I never that very detailed things that take a lot of time. My ADD is like, nope. I'm a perfect merchandiser, because I'm literally meant to go in, set something up, move on to the next. Like, I'm not meant to work on the same project for like weeks on end. Like
Yeah.
I honestly, like, I think I'd shoot myself. So I
Yeah.
have such respect for like upholstery, or just even dressmaking. I mean, I don't have that that component in
I
my.
so get that. It's super counterintuitive to my personality. I'm like goldfish brain, like, oh, shiny, shiny, but for some reason I enjoy the chairs. If you give me like a big sofa, no, it's just these little, really beautiful, interesting pieces that you can kind of whip up quickly, but they're like, it's so impactful that it's so satisfying to do those sorts of projects. But for the most part, I'm like, here's the concept, someone else go execute it, because I can't focus that long.
What is like how long does it take to redo a chair?
It probably takes a couple of hours to strip it, and then it will take a couple of days to finish it. So you're adding in all the inner portions of it to keep it strong, and the real work is all inside. What happens, the top cover is literally like a dress. That's why I think of it like couture, because
Mm.
the top fabric is the dress, is the jewelry. Everything else is what makes it stay that way, like Spanx for life. If a chair is upholstered properly, it will last for life. It will just need the dress changed, the earrings changed, but none of the inner workings of it.
I had dabbled in interior for a while, and trying to explain to interior design clients, the cheap chairs are not going to last you. Like,
Yeah.
love the Z galleries that do the inexpensive fashion pieces, and it's like, but trying to tell a bachelor that is going to have his friends over, that this sofa or this chair is not going to last that terribly long,
Yeah.
this cost, because it's a blown inner, which means there's no structure. It's just like,
Yeah.
will end up being this matted, and chairs, like, it good furniture costs something for a reason,
For
because
sure.
it's going to make it, it's going to last. Thus,
Yeah.
antiques being able to still redo them, because
Yeah.
good bones.
Right. And of course, not everyone's going to have access or interest or what have you in something like that, but it is true. You get what you pay for,
Yeah, absolutely.
to the detriment of the earth. And but I have IKEA chairs in the house. There's like, no one's perfect.
Yeah, I like mixing high and low. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, like, my
Same.
entire life is low. I mean, there's there's nothing. I have small dogs that live on my sofa, and my sofa is the one that's completely down,
Right. Right.
has no structure anymore. It's like, I always tell them, like, this is why we can't have nice things.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But that's, I choose that, not to have it like something so precious that, a pug is not gonna kill.
Yeah. I don't do precious either, but we definitely did mainly furnish the houses with vintage, because it was like a smart home, and we are building, in this day and age. So it would be strange to sort of kit the whole thing out and shiny new. It's also not my style. I think
Yeah.
it should be eclectic. But yeah, it meant something to me to furnish it vintage. with antiques and cheap finds too. Like it doesn't mean expensive.
It is Brass Tack. How long was Brass Tack in Laguna for? Is it still open?
6 years. No, I had 3 years in the little space, just me, and then I moved into a bigger space with a partner, Kristen. And then when my daughter graduated and we bought the land and started building, sorry, one of my kids is calling. Shoot, are we good? Uh-oh. What was I talking about? Oh yeah, okay. So then I told you goldfish brain. So my daughter graduated, my youngest graduated. We started building the ranch, and I knew it was going to be the end. And Kristen, my partner, opened up Good Together House, a really beautiful home store in the same space.
And she's still
there. She's with Dana, who was the founder and co-owner of Laguna Supply, really beautiful clothing store next door to Good Together. So yeah. So Kristen and Dana are doing Good Together. Laura is still at Laguna Supply. So the street is still like packed full of cool things, which is great.
I have to get down there because I love Laguna Supply. I haven't been down there in ages. And when you told me about the sister store, I'm like, oh my gosh, I have to go.
Yeah.
How did you pick SantaYnez? Did I pronounce that right?
SantaYnez. Inez. Yeah. Inez. Well, I think it picked us. We had been talking about wanting a ranch. And so through the years, we visited Utah and Idaho and Colorado and Montana and upstate New York. And I thought for sure upstate New York because we had an apartment in the West Village in Manhattan. We thought how perfect to do a ranch. And then we visited and it was not for me. I get it, but I couldn't do like the weather and the bugs. I'm a California girl. Like I love it. I think it's charming. I think it's beautiful. I think there's so much to offer, but I'm a California girl, like born here. I guess I'll die here on this ranch. But it was posted, the land was posted randomly. My husband was like, hey, I just saw this. It was just a price drop. Do you want to go see it? I yelped like good agent in the valley. And this woman, Nina, came up and we met her. And by lunch, we were in escrow.
Wow.
So it was spontaneous. It happened super fast. I didn't know anything about the valley. I think I'd been to Alisal Ranch once, and that was like the extent of my knowledge.
How many acres is it?
5.5.
And was there any structures on it at all, or
there was an old dilapidated barn, and that's it.
And now it's containers, correct? Is that smart?
The pool is a container from Mod Pools in Canada. The house is a modular kit home from Huga Supply in Michigan.
It is so amazing. I mean,
Thank you.
had Santa Barbara magazine come out. I believe it's 12 pages in September. And I actually was just at Barnes and Noble trying to find the magazine today, and it's not out here yet.
Not out yet. Actually, the writer called me this morning for some caption info. So I got to see a couple of the pictures, but I have no idea what it's going to be.
I am so excited. And I'm not going to lie, I'm so going to come up there and take you up.
You gotta come brush some cows.
I mean, I don't, like I said, like I don't know where it started, my love of like farm or ranch life. I've had animals, but I've no idea why. And Elisa, who you've spoken to or gone back and forth with, Elisa is Palos Verdes, born and raised, moved to Hermosa with her husband, and now is up in Oregon. And Elisa's on, I don't know how many acres, it's a lot. She has deer going by. She has turkeys going by. She has chickens now. She has this crazy cool chicken pen. And she's like, now, like she's texting me, I'm off to the feed store. I have to go get this, that, and the other. And the next text is like, oh my God, who am I? Like,
yeah.
Literally, but I am so envious. And it, I think partly because I want a slow life. I know I'll still work, but I really long to be able to go feed animals and go walk property and go let go of sitting in a car on the 405 and in traffic. And, I think I said this before, the entitlement of some areas, I'm not going to mention them, but I can't wait to go and leave some of that and have some of a simpler life. And it seemingly feels like that you have created this with your ranch and your store.
Thank you. We like just people even coming to visit, like their shoulders just slowly like,
Oh,
relax, and you can feel your blood pressure drop, and your breathing is like so slow and nice. It's just so relaxed. And the people that want to live here, I think it's a certain type of individual that wants that life. So you just meet a lot of lovely people. I mean, all of our neighbors are from LA, which I know the valley has changed a lot, but it's a specific person that doesn't mind there being nothing to do after 6 p.m., like is excited to go to tractor. I love the feed store. I get it's like my new target.
I think Elisa has embraced it as well. So you guys decide you're living out here. How long had you been on the property before you decided like, okay, I want to open a store?
Oh, I was never going to open a store again. And then I think I lived. Why would you do that? That's a terrible idea. I think we lived here for 4 months where I was like, okay, I brush the cows anymore. What am I going to do? So it was pretty quick. Yeah.
I just realized my microphone has not been on, and I mean, I know it's recording me through the laptop, but I don't know. This is what happens when you're in a shed.
It'll be fine, right?
I mean, I'm gonna unplug it. The sound quality Catherine, you're gonna have to edit this out, my love. The sound quality
Sorry, Catherine.
might be a little bit different, but
oh well.
Now what was I saying? Now I had to go back to like, so okay, living out in SantaYnez, it is more of it's, I mean, there's nothing to do after 6 p.m. you just said. So
yeah,
what is it? Because I drove through there, and the street that your store's on is the quaintest street. I mean, it looks like all the stores are historical buildings, and I mean it's not very long. It looks very short. I mean, I think I drove down the extent of it to turn back onto the highway. How did you end up deciding, okay, I don't want to pet cow or brush cows anymore? At what point do you go, okay, let's look
I do still want to brush them. I just don't want to brush them all day, every day. Well, so yeah, there's SantaYnez, the town, there's Los Olivos, there's Los Alamos, there's Solvang, are like the 4 towns within a few minutes of our ranch. And SantaYnez to me is the perfect place. It's the most sort of one horse town, true Western vibes. I like all of the towns individually for different reasons, but that's where I felt like I wanted to be, where I thought it was most interesting, and would attract the right clients.
Because
it has proven to.
It's not it is a cowboy area, and there are, like you said, surfing cowboys that will drive down the hill to surf. So how did you know, okay, I can open a store that has fashion in it that, rides the line of a cowgirl and that Georgia O'Keeffe, Dolly Parton vibe? Like, how did you know that?
Well, a part of it is risk. You don't ever know, but I knew that I moved here. I knew that there were a lot of people that have relocated since COVID that never have to go back to an office. I know that I'm surrounded by people from LA and Orange County and San Francisco, and Europe as my neighbors. So I thought there's going to be a need, and there's newer restaurants opening, there's other shops opening, there's new vineyards, and there's just been so much attention in the Santa Barbara and SantaYnez Valley, Montecito. I mean, like Harry and May, like everyone seems to be like, space feels like the new luxury, which is one of the blessings of COVID, I think, if you can say there were any blessings. But I think people wanted space, and they wanted a simpler life, and they wanted to sort of reflect on how they were spending their time and who they were spending it with, and make sure they were editing that into a way that gave them the life they wanted. But there was a lot of reflection, I think, during that time. So I knew there was going to be a need for it, but it's never 100%. But SantaYnez General was already there. Spencer and Pearson Turnbull own that. They're neighbors and friends.
That store.
So they have a home store and a clothing store, and they have a pop-up in Montecito. And so they were really the trailblazers, because it's luxury and it's high fashion, and they really were the guinea pigs. So it was sort of easy to slot into a place where people already knew to come a little bit.
How long had SantaYnez General been there for? How long was their footprint in the door?
not long. I want to say they opened in 2019 maybe. So,
Oh,
and then they added the clothing store. So not a long time, but long enough to establish it. And we see tons of locals. There's a large like polo community. They all come from everywhere and they stay for 2 months. And then we get a ton of people from Santa Barbara and Montecito, and then of course LA, and then people here for weekends and things as well.
I mean,
So
I left there going, I called Dave and I'm like, if we don't move out of state, like I would actually consider moving to SantaYnez. And I found an
yeah,
amazing house to rent, by the way.
good.
But reality is like, okay, Michelle, you said you want to move out of California, but that, I mean, I had no idea because I've gone to Santa Barbara, we've gone to Los Olivos, I've been to Solvang twice, 3 times. It's not like somewhere I'd want to go on vacation, but I left that area just like enamored by
Yeah,
the rolling hills and the expansiveness of it. Like
yeah,
not house next to house next to house. It's like
exactly.
it really is so beautiful.
It really is. And it is, 30 minutes to Santa Barbara and the beach, and it is 2 hours to LA, and it is, so you are in the middle of nowhere, but you're close to everything.
I think that's what I loved about it, is that you literally
Yeah,
feel you're in the middle of nowhere. So
yeah.
if nothing's open past 6 p.m., where is everyone wearing all this to?
That's a great question. Not everyone is either going over to other people's homes. There's like a really big community of dinners and cards and game nights, or they're going to the vineyards, or I mean, there are some restaurants, but it's just I do feel like the stuff has to be wearable because it's not a super fancy town. So that was sort of one of the decision making matrices in my shop plan. But like I got off work on Sunday and joined a big group of people wine tasting at Brave and Maiden. So you like drive down the street 1 minute and you're in Tuscany, so, and they're all looking fabulous, and there's places.
I love it. You have such a great style too.
Thank
How
you.
would you define your style?
um I still have days where I'm like, who am I? Like, I was telling someone I was wearing a dress the other day and I felt like a sister, like, do you want to be in my polygamy triangle? But I think I've kind of got it figured out. It's kind of tomboy, sort of more on the masculine side. I really love men's clothing and the timelessness of them. And again, it's not serious. I love like the denim, the fringe, the leather, the sequins, like little pops of
Yeah,
sort of punk playfulness. That's kind of my style. Comfortable, like feel good in your skin, nothing overly tight. Like I like sort of a slouchy effortlessness to dressing and layering. And yeah, that's sort of my approach.
I love it. I mean, I forget you were wearing that day. I was looking because scroll your Instagram because I'm shopping it as well, which I can't wait to look at my new outfit, by the way. But you have the tulle skirt and you show over denim, which
Yeah,
that reminds me so much of my days at Fred Segal, where it's not like you don't see that anywhere, and it's such an amazing look, and it's so I keep wanting to say classic because it's not,
yeah,
but I love what that looks like. And literally, like, I felt like I was right back at Fred Segal. Like there was like
yeah. Oh, good.
full skirts over old 501s with
Yeah,
like my friend Janine has a collection of like these amazing flats and like little kitten heels, and they're very pointy and they're all like embellished with all these like rhinestones. And it was that effortless look of chic. And
yeah.
that's when I was looking at it the other day and I was like, I don't think I could wear that tulle skirt over denim. I think I'd look like a house, but I really love the look.
No, I think you totally could. I think the idea is like, who cares about the rules? That's the whole point of like, Dolly Parton does not care about the rules. Georgia O'Keeffe did not care about the rules.
Yeah.
So do what makes you have fun. And like, I think that outfit, something like that says like, I'm, I'm seizing the day. Like
I'm confident.
I'm not afraid. Yeah. And I also don't care what you think.
Apparently I'm afraid. Tell me when you started pulling lines for the store, because you don't have, I didn't really, to be honest, recognize any of the lines that you have. And
Yeah,
they're also wearable and beautiful. What was your approach on pulling lines for the store?
that's harder because you have to like buy in advance of a store opening, as you know, because the seasons you have to buy for. So having brands commit when you haven't even opened is tricky. You're
Yeah.
not established. You don't have other brands that you can say, I'm selling this. This is how well this sells. Um, but it's the same thing went for when, when I had the home store in Laguna Beach was if you can see it everywhere, why would you want it? Like that's what Amazon and big box retailing and malls are for. Like boutique shopping is an entirely different beast. So you've got to be bringing something boutique. So I like to just find sort of obscure, smaller brands. I think it's makes it harder because big brands are super organized and you can always get the line sheets and you know exactly the cancel date, the ship date. But like when you're working with artisans or designers and they're small batch, like there's going to be a lot more work involved in getting it into the shop.
Yeah.
But it's so worth it because I don't like the reason I so believe in boutique shopping is because I have traveled a ton. I'm a travel junkie and that's one of the things I love best is walking the streets of a city and there being beautiful shops with interesting things. Like I never feared about opening a retail store. I think retail is scary, but a boutique store is something that will always exist. It's something that, people come here for, whatever their birthday, their bachelorette party, they're going to come in, they're going to buy a hat, they're going to go wine tasting. Like there's so many, that will never go away. I hope. I want to see like a flower shop and a cheese shop and a fishmonger and a great restaurant and some cafes and boutiques and stationery. Like I hope that never goes away. That's sort of the charm of city living.
Yeah. I've always like small boutiques. I mean, malls have their place and big box has their place, but I feel like you're not, I always like when I hit the gift shows or the apparel shows, it's always about what I say, the pet rock. And it's like finding that one item that you're not going to find that at a mall. I mean, no dig on malls, but
Yeah.
it's just,
No.
the items that you have in your store, I always say there's a curation and good buyers curate their store and the lines that they carry. And it's like your store is so well curated. And there are lines, like I said, that all work seamlessly together. And yet I've never really seen, and I've been in apparel for a long time. I mean, I'm less
Yeah.
fashion than I am, but it was really great to go and see lines I've never seen. And I wore my little, is it lot 20, what lot?
Oh, lot 99.
Lot 99 to Magic. And I got so many,
Yeah.
like so
Oh,
many,
awesome.
and it was like such a
Yeah.
great piece. I just wore it with like holy denim and Birks, and it was
Amazing.
my
Love
favorite.
it. I
Um,
think if you do boutique, you have to know who you are because a lot of people get sidetracked. And it's like when you're on Pinterest and you're going to remodel your bathroom, whatever, and you can have 40 different versions of your bathroom, but at some point you have to pick what your look is going to be. And I think with boutique shopping, it's the same. Like really know who you are so someone can walk in and get a sense of like, okay, I get it. This is cool. I understand it. I'm happy to like walk through it. Because I've been in, boutique shops before where it's like a little bit of this, a little bit of that. It's like who are they? Who are they trying to be? I'm not sold. I don't get it. I'm confused. I'm leaving. So
and I
I
think
think it's
that's
important to
one
be
thing
cohesive.
retailers, because I think a lot of new store owners, and I think still established owners, want to appeal to everybody.
Yeah.
And they end up, it's not even curated, it's just a lot of different things. And you're right, I think it gives a confusing message to like where am I shopping?
Yeah.
What is this? And I think
Yeah.
that's a really good point, that a lot of retailers, because I think also a lot of retailers are scared to trust their gut of like,
Yeah.
I think they start second who's going to buy it instead of being
Yeah.
so behind the brand and the look and being so confident and like, this is who we are. I
Hmm.
will wear it. I know I'll sell it. But I think a lot of people get really scared sometimes. And it's like,
Yeah. Which I totally get. It's a big amount of money every season to commit on sales and size runs and all, the business side of it. But you got to just trust your gut if you're good at it.
Yeah.
or find someone that's really good at it if you aren't.
Your store is, the fixtures are a mix of found object, and it looks like some pieces that have been built, like the platforms in the back. What now you've secured the space, how do you go, and you're curating the lines, how are you going about deciding on the fixtures and how you want to show the new curated lines?
That's a good question because it does have to evolve, but I am so old now that I don't want to move anything big. I used to be like overnight, like hauling tables and like stacking tables, and this will be amazing when everyone comes in the morning. Now I'm like, I think I'm just gonna move jeans to the left. Like I don't want to move anything anymore. It hurts. So I think
Can't
it's
wait till
more in like
I say that. I really can't.
like yesterday, we have a really, really amazing line in from this woman, Rocio G. She's an Argentinian designer. She just did a collab with Johanna Ortiz. It's on Moda Operandi. Like her stuff is incredible. It's all hand stitched by artisans, you know, near her home in Argentina. So she comes out for Polo every year. That's how I met her. And so we just brought in a bunch of her pieces, but it's really cool. I'm doing like a designer spotlight, and that's something I can do like month by month, and bring in these people that, you know, you probably haven't
Great.
heard of unless you're like really paying attention. And so that's a cool way to keep things fresh and new that I love. And then I'm probably going to start to bring in vintage because being a slave to seasons, you know, fast fashion, all of those reasons landfills full of clothes, I think there should be a component of that.
Mm.
And then I am starting the Born in the Barn line that we talked about a little bit. And the attempt is to be dead stock fabrics. I was just in downtown LA cutting a bunch of swatches, hopefully one size. So it really embodies like the direction of fashion, you know, unisex, one size, dead stock fabrics. Like it's not all going to be that, but there's an effort and a nod to the importance of it.
It's such a great mix. I mean, it's again like curating this new and vintage and found and artisan pieces. I mean, that is, I think, the reason why I'm so enamored with your stores, because it is a mix of that. It's nothing you've ever seen. How
Yeah.
many pieces are you going to roll out, and who is sewing them? I think I asked this there.
I'm going to start with 6, I hope. And they're all going to be sewn in LA, designed in our barn here, Born in the Barn. Some pieces can be stitched here, ponchos, easy things, but pattern making and things like that will be downtown LA.
When is this going to roll out at the store?
I would like for fall, but I'm thinking spring.
Yeah, it's I'm very bad about estimation dates. Like when I'm
Yeah.
the platform I'm building, I'm seriously think I was high. It was like, we're gonna roll it out in fall. This,
Yeah.
mind you, this was like January.
Right.
Fall,
Right.
really? Like
Yeah.
now that people are doing it, I'm like, I just want you guys to know it's really looking like fall 2023.
Yeah. I didn't say which fall.
Because I started putting so much pressure on myself that it was like I was
Mhm.
starting to stress out about that, and it was like nothing was happening organically. And I would
Right.
get the same thing with that. It's not, it has to happen organically, and it's not like
Yes.
you can just roll up to any sewer and say, hey, you know, here's the dead stock. I mean, because pattern making, and when you're dealing with dead stock and fabric the way it lays, and you have to
Oh,
go to
so
somebody
many
that
things to
is a good
consider.
pattern maker and knows their shit.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like the pattern, the grading, the marking. There, it's going to cost so much to cut 10, and that's the same amount to cut 50 or 100. You know, it's a different amount. So, am I making 10 when it costs the same to cut 100? Like, there's a whole lot of math involved, and you know, I don't like math, but the process of like saying like, oh, it'll be fun to have a poncho, and then like actually having a poncho in the store is like, ooh, so many steps. So I'm thinking probably spring.
Oh, it'd be fun. Where price range do you think? Well, okay, what is the price range within your store? And then what price range do you think your line is going to roll into?
I think my price range is, I would think, that is a good question. I
I'm
want people to be able to pick up a sweatshirt, a t-shirt, a tank top, whatever, basics, sweatpants, loungewear, super, you know, reasonably. And then I have noticed like this area with these clients, 100 is a no-brainer, 200 is a no-brainer, 300 is probably per season, And then there are just some clients that will never even look at a price tag.
Yeah. I love
So I
those
think,
clients.
do I love them?
I love those clients. I miss
They
them.
stress me
My
out.
agent, Fred Siegel. It's like,
Yeah.
I love those clients where they just walk up mounds of clothes. Like there's I my store was during the 90s, so it was like way excess, but I do love being in other people's stores, watching people shop with looking at a price tag is not even like part of it. And I also love the ones that, are very thrifty and they, really think about what they're spending, but really like at the end of the day, those women that just here's my giant pack of clothing. I'll wrap it up on, I
Yeah,
don't need to see
it
the
is
total.
so unpredictable too. You never, ever, ever, ever know. And like, I mean, I'm kind to anyone that is going to take the time to walk into the shop, but I have been very surprised by, you truly can never judge a book, and it's fascinating to me. It's a total like social experiment having this store, and the people I've met in the town, and the variety of personalities, and the therapy. Like to own a retail store is to like be a bartender or a hairstylist,
Yeah. Yes.
and you have to want to love people's stories. They can tell if you don't. Like, I'm there for the people in the community. Like, we're going to host a silversmithing workshop. I'm not going to make a dime, but I want to be able to offer that to the community.
I love that.
And I love this woman came in the other day, totally unassuming, super petite, looking around. I kind of thought like, I don't know if this is the place for her or not. She ended up grabbing a bunch of things, and I said, what brings you here? Are you living here? Are you visiting? She turned out to be the person that would dive with like the seals and detonate bombs underwater.
Holy
you
shit.
know and you
Wow.
just never know someone's story. And it's like Humans of New York is one of my favorite accounts to follow, because truly people will fascinate you, and
Yeah.
you never know what someone's dealing with. And so like having the ability to get to know the community and hear these stories and meet these people. And I have people come in that have been ranching in this valley, their families have been ranching in this valley for hundreds of years, and they're like celebrities of the horse world or whatever they are. And it's truly fascinating. You have to care about that if you're going to own a boutique, I think.
I just talked to Michael, who has a store, Cursive, in New York, and he said the same thing. He goes, and his thing was even funnier, is that me and my partner have no desire to be online. Like, really, to us, the experience of retail is being in our stores face to face with our customers. And he goes, we may lose some sales, I understand that, but we really have no desire for that. Like, really, like, it to us, it's about community and talking to our customers and seeing. And I think I wish a lot more retailers thought about that, because when you walk in stores and it's like the person's on the phone, they
Yeah.
don't look up. There's like, oh, I like your shoes. Like
No, you don't.
Yeah. I mean, today I went to like Barnes and Nobles. I'm like, I'll take the itemized copy. And she was so busy trying to get me out. And I was like, and I have my hand out, I'll take the itemized copy. And she shoves it in the bag. And I'm like, okay, like
I
not
guess I won't. Yeah.
and I'm like, I even had my hand out and I was
Yeah.
trying to get and I think that more retailers, if they spent the time with that philosophy of getting to know, I know Kingfisher Road does this, I know a lot of stores, but I think a lot of times there's somebody in their store running their store that has no desire to get to know the community, that is the face of your business. That is really important, because they're the ones talking to your customers, and if they act like they don't care, that is the lasting impression your customers is going to walk away with. So
it's a total reflection of you. And boutique shopping, you have to be there, like you are the shop. Like, I don't understand when people will open up something like that and then just staff it, because
oh my god,
that's not the experience. Otherwise people will just buy it online. Like, I don't get it. You have to know them. You have to know what event they're going to. You have to tell them when something doesn't suit them. You have to tell them when it does. Like, and there's a very fine line also of like, not like, I don't like to go into a store and be hounded by, I hate that pressure. I hate like, try this too, and it's like, I'll ask you if I want, So I think there's a very fine line of friendly, making sure you're available to someone without making them feel like when they come in, they're going to get pressured to buy. Like, I don't care if you come in and buy or not. If you just enjoy walking through it, spend an hour. I don't care. And I think that shows.
I always feel like when they're all over you like that, I actually, my head goes to like, I'm not gonna steal. Like it's okay. I'm over here. Like I'm okay. Like, so you're right. There's a very fine line of that.
Yeah.
As well as like, the number one way to stop shoplifting is to at least like say hello. Like you've
Right.
acknowledged the customer, and that way at least they
Yeah.
know you're there. And I think that's
Yeah.
the thing, is like having somebody that's on their
Yeah.
phone, not looking up, that doesn't say
Yeah.
anything.
No, I still have people that will like put things in the room for me that I didn't select myself. And I'm like, is this the 90? Am I like wet seal? Like, are you made to do like everybody has to put 2 units in every room? It's like never. I just want to throw them back over the door.
God, I love that. I haven't had that
Yeah.
happen in so long, because 90%
Oh,
when I go shopping, no one even helps you. It's like, really? Like, and I realize now where I do shop is people that I've gotten a relationship with, the
yeah.
girls at Fisher, people who I know that's like know me. It's like, do you think
Your
I'll fit that?
style.
Like, are they long? Or
Yeah.
like it, and I think again, like I wish the retailers listening to this that have staff on their teams that don't
Yeah.
don't take care of your customer the way you would, and don't have that sense of community. Or I mean, not, I'm expecting a 16-year-old to have a sense of community, but
No.
an honest, genuine care for, because
But
it's
also don't hire a 16-year-old if the demographic of your shopper is 50.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
have someone that can speak to the customer about their body shape and their aesthetic. And like my daughter's 19 and she's like, ugh, to everything I do. Like I'm not going to have a 19-year-old working in there. It just doesn't make sense for my customer. So
that's a good point as well.
if you can't be there doing the shifts, at least hire someone with similar experience or ability to at least talk to it and understand
So
it.
I'm going to circle back around to what you just said a couple minutes ago about owners who are not in the store. Like
Yeah.
I was raised in Fred Siegel by Fred Siegel, that was like, he was like an iron fist about, you're a working owner. You're not rolling in whenever. He was always like, the owner's the best salesperson. The owner needs to be there. But I mean, it was like to an extreme. It was like 6 days a
Yeah.
week, open to close. Like,
Yeah.
you have to get there at 9. We didn't leave till like, we closed the store at 7. We didn't leave till, but it's true
That's a
that
lot.
how I don't understand how their owners don't ever step a foot in the store. Like, how do you, I have one client. It's like, it's literally like, I'm like, let's pull the cameras up and let's see, since we're on a meeting, like, let's pull the cameras up and see what the, team is doing. Because not every time I go in the stores, the girls are like behind the counter. There's 20 people on the floor. I'm like,
Yeah.
what?
They don't
It's
care
like,
like you're going to care. And
and
I get it if you
that's
have multiple spaces and you can't be in every space. I totally get it. But
but
the
have a district
training, I
manager.
don't know.
But having a district
Yeah.
manager that cares about and has the goals that you need, because I think that that's just it, that a district manager or a manager is going to assume what your priorities are and relay them down to the store, like the team,
Hmm.
make sure that they
Hmm.
are hitting goals and the store is clean. Like the little
Absolutely.
things.
Also, as the owner, be the one sweeping, be the one mopping, be the one like show that I mean, I do all of the bad jobs.
Thank you.
So I can't understand it when it's like we're all pitching in. And I hate when people like, my team or they work for me. It's like we're working together. Like we're in this together. We're working for money, hopefully. Working for satisfaction, a job well done, like, but it's not honor that these people want to spend their time and have this be their job.
Yeah.
So make sure, I think that can be the way you treat your, people that you're hiring, they're going to treat you back. Good
Yeah,
for the good or the bad.
I've actually overheard a conversation where the owner had asked the kid to dust, and the kid actually said, I'm allergic to dust. I can't. And it was never like, oh, well, I'm sorry. You should put a mask on. Here's the duster. Like it literally, like the conversation was ended at that point. Like the kid, like literally like shut it down. I'm like, I had to walk out of the store. I'm like, I've never heard anything like that. I literally
Wow.
wanted to say to the owner, like, but like, you're shopping there, leave, Michelle. Like,
Yeah.
I think that's, I think, and I'm not, don't jump all over me, everyone, because I know it's impossible right now to hire people. So I know that but
Yes.
I think that's more of a reason why you being in your stores is equally as important. So I'm going to get off my soapbox and stop.
Me too.
My favorite part of your store is your hat bar, and it's trim your brim. And
Trim
I
your brim.
did a story from there. So how did you come up with that? Because I love retail that's interactive and that
Yeah.
you can personalize something. And I feel like there's so many more places that can do it, but I think a lot of people
Yeah.
are a little scared by it because it means a little bit extra.
It is
help or
extra. Some days I hate the hat bar, but I think experiential retail is super important now. Like we've shown, I mean, I don't know, Abercrombie has been replaced with an escape room. Like people want to have experience things and
Good
not
point.
just
Damn, I didn't even think about that. Snap.
So yeah, this is my nod to making it cool. So that, like I said, there's so many people that come in for bachelorette, bridal, graduation, birthday, date night, a day with no one talking to me, like, and they want to create something. People love to be creative, so it's an opportunity to do that. And you can go totally crazy or make it super simple. You can etch it, you can add vintage pins, tons of different bands. And right now we have it as to book only. So you come in, we'll serve you wine. You'll select your hat, or you'll bring your own hat with a hattage fee of $20 if you're bringing your own hat, because we like to promote sustainability. You don't have to buy a hat from us. And hopefully it will get to a point where I can just have someone in there running the hat bar as the hat stylist. But yeah, people are super excited about it. It's an easy, fun thing to do. So the Auberge is opening, I think, in November, the 5-star resort in Los Olivos, and I think that will be part of their offerings to their guests. And it makes sense. It's a hat town. It's a sunny place. You got to screen your, protect your face when you're wine tasting or horse riding or going on walks or hiking. Hats are never going out of style. So, and I might.
Sorry, when you started doing, like, did you decide to roll out all these, because you do stamping and then there's vintage trim and there's the, like you were saying, vintage pins, and then there's some other little, did it start out with just a couple things and do you keep adding to it, or is like,
yeah, it's kind of stressed me out because it's like, do I always have to have this one, like suede cord? Like how will I ever be able to stay on top of the inventory? And that gave me so much stress. But really I just bought a ton of cool things, and people don't need it to be, because I thought I wanted to do like hat samples, like this is the Fiona, and people could be like, I want to do the Fiona, but people don't want to do that. They just want to play with all this stuff. Yeah. And so it doesn't have to be like you always have to have this, and this. You just have a ton of cool offerings. And I found out about it because my daughter is at college in Texas, and we did something similar together on Mom's Weekend. And I was like, this would be so great in SantaYnez. So that's, and I know people are doing it everywhere, Kimosabi, in Aspen, but it's not going to go away. It's super fun, especially because you can bring in your own hat and just add something to it.
Well, I love that. I feel like that as a retailer, not a lot of people would do that. I think a lot of people are like, no, yeah, they need to buy our hats. But the fact that the sustainability portion of that is so important to you that, and it's like basically saying, no, you don't have to buy ours. Like, bring yours in.
And I'm the new girl in a town of cowgirls, so they have hats they love. I'm not going to be like, no, buy this, like, sorry, you can bring in your beloved hat. Like, we're here to like make friends, make community. So that's part of the deal.
So I always ask people a last couple of questions. One of them is, because you're super busy and you're ADD like me, how do you find inspiration?
Ooh, I meditate. I travel. I listen to music. When I drive, I get super inspired because it gives me space to let my brain go somewhere else.
Yeah.
So meditation, music, traveling, and driving are my biggest inspirations.
Favorite place that you traveled?
Oh, I can't pick one. I can't pick one. Pick what?
Top 3.
Oh, top 3. Okay. Oh, that's so hard. Oh my goodness.
Because you've been to 56 countries, so that
I know
it's so hard around the world.
I mean, it depends, like a mood thing, and it's like, are you? I guess. Oh no. Laos, but that was part of a whole like Laos, Cambodia, Vietnam,
Wow.
Singapore, Maldives experience. So I kind of lump everything together, and it was incredible. And then Namibia, felt like I was on a different planet when we were in Namibia. So just for like full shock and beauty, natural beauty was Namibia. And then I truly think the best city in the world is New York.
Ah, I love New York. I haven't been since before we shut down. The last time I set up New York Now for the Harper Group was literally the last New York Now that I think that was what, 3 years ago now, 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And I miss it so much. My interview last night, I was like, Dave is like a surfer, true, like heart of hearts surfer. And he's the relaxed version. Like I'm like the ADD, like all over the place.
Uh-huh.
He like literally mellows me out. And the thought of him walking on the streets in New York at his pace, I'm like, oh my
Oh
God.
God, no. Trip him and run. Keep going. Keep up.
I said to our guest last night, I'm like, I know from being in New York that I just start walking New York pace and
Yes.
like
Yes.
dodging in and out of people. And
You
it
have
makes
to.
Dave
People that
crazy.
go to New
Oh my
York and just like meander, like get in
God,
the way, I'm like, you got to know where you are. Like, get it together.
yeah, I want to bring Dave there so bad, but I'm like, oh my God, I
No.
partially think he would absolutely hate it.
Yeah. Dave's not invited. Sorry. I'll go with you.
Okay, go with me. And last part is I want to hear more about okay, Rancho McRanch has its own
Yeah.
Instagram. Okay, I love the name. And how did you come up with the
Do
name?
you love the name?
I
I let my
do.
husband name it, and he's ridiculous because he saw that thing where they let, I don't know where it was, somewhere in the UK, them name like the maritime vessel, and they named it Bodie McBoatface. Like the popular, like it was the boat, and they had to name it Bodie McBoatface. And he just thinks that's so funny. So Ranchy McRanch. And so I was talking to some architects before we decided to do the kit home, and they were like, okay, could we please have a project name? And I was like, no, you can't. No, what's the name? Nope. You Ranchy McRanch. I'm so sorry. And you can just see like crickets, you know.
No, I love
So
the name. I
it
swear
is
to
its
God,
name.
I love the name. You can tell your husband I love the name.
I think it's good. He got to name it. I think it's good, but I think it's embarrassing. It's all fine. It's
How
taken on a
many
life of its own.
you have a llama with very buck teeth, which I love more than
Do you
anything.
mean the sexiest, most handsome llama
I
that ever was?
love him.
He is the night watchman. He is the bouncer at the club. He protects the goats' lives. He's killed a bobcat with his own two
Holy shit,
legs.
really?
Yeah, he is not to
He's
be
the
fucked
night
with.
watchman. That's
And
like
he is. And he doesn't even break a sweat when he does it.
and the piglets, you got
The
piglets.
piglets, they are adorable. They're getting fatter every day. Someone told me not to go in without your phone because if you like fall down and get knocked out, they'll eat you.
Yeah.
Which I don't think my piglets would do that, but it is a thing. Like the mob would throw bodies into the pig pen because they'll eat the entire thing. So
Shit.
I'm gonna take my phone with me. I know. A new fear unlocked, right?
I used to have a pig. So when we lived, my ex-husband was Fred Siegel's foreman, and Fred had 375 acres in Malibu right before T1 as you go up Canaan. And we were lucky enough to live on that property. So I had maybe this is where my love of ranch life comes. I had 2 rescue donkeys, Elliot and Anthony.
Oh,
And poor Elliot had a bashed in face because Elliot kicked him in the face. And then I was able to get a pig. His name was Pork Chop, a potbelly.
yep.
And those things are fucking smart as hell. Like
They
Pork
really are.
Chop could open the refrigerator and open
Mhm.
up the vegetable drawer to get out that, like, I've seen people that actually, and I'm like, this is never going to happen in our house. Like I've seen people, our friend Jackie, who had Fred Siegel fun, had to actually chain her refrigerator door from her pig Stinky because Stinky
Can
would
someone do that to my fridge for me? I need someone to lock my fridge.
padlock.
No, they're so smart. It's crazy. It truly is. The cows are, I think, are the most, well, I don't know if they're the most intelligent. They're the most soulful.
What
The
kind of cow is
pigs are
that? The ones that
super
have
smart.
the long hair.
Yeah, they're the well, mine are midi Highland cows from Scotland, and they have really great hair. And they are the sweetest. They're like puppies. Like
Oh,
if they're sleepy and they go and lay in the shade, and I go down during like their sleepy time, they'll just come over and lay right next to me. I can lay down on them. They love music. They love when I like sit next to them and read. And then the rest of the day, when we're feeding them, they want to be brushed, and they're just the sweetest things in the
I
world.
love
They
that.
look at you with these big, beautiful eyes. They're
When we go to Costa Rica, I'm always like, can we pull over and see? Because the Costa Rican cows have like super long ears. Like
yeah,
they, no,
yeah.
I don't even know if they're cows. They might be bulls, but they are so beautiful. And I always like want to, so Dave will always pull over for me. And as soon as I open the door, they just look at me and they fucking run the other
They bolt.
direction.
I
I'm
know.
standing there like, hello,
Hey, cows. Yeah.
come back.
No harm.
How
Yeah.
many other
Tom
animals,
Ford.
how many other animals
Tom
do you have?
Ford. We have llama, 9 goats, 3 cows, 2 rescue horses, 2 pigs, 5 dogs,
Wow.
and like some kids. They're all out of the house though.
Oh my God. I'm sorry. I can't wait to I know I asked you when I met you in the store that I want to come and film the store because I like I said, retailers are super visual. And
Yeah.
when I first started this, originally the intent was to film and have an audio, and it was just too expensive because I'm bootstrapping this whole thing. So, I was like, let's get it out, audio. And now I realize, like, one of the interviews we did, I think I told you about Sarah Jane. And when she's
Oh
talking
yeah.
about the store, people were like DMing me, dying, like, we want to see the store, are there pictures? So
Yes, I
that,
do.
that was our first retail horror road trip. And
Yeah.
we're doing our second one. We're going up to Oakland to a store called Nathan and Co. So we're going to film in his store next week. And then
Very cool.
I would love to come and film both your store and Rancho McRanch. But for people that are listening, though, you have to go onto Instagram, Rancho McRanch, because the animals make me so happy. I mean, it's
they they're so joyful, and it's just you can't help but be like, are you kidding? Is this real?
such a
How to
beautiful life.
Yeah, yeah, super. Couldn't agree more. I mean, I never really wanted a normal life. I didn't know I'd end up with this one, but yeah, wake up like smiling every day for sure.
Oh my God. Okay, so the last question is, where do you see yourself in 10 years?
I have no idea. Um, that's I feel like getting to this part where launching your kids and having them in college is
Mm,
like as far as I got. So like we becoming empty nesters, opening the ranch, opening the shop, my husband's career, all of the animals is just kind of been fully consuming. And I think for the first time, I'm sort of content because I'm a gypsy and a goldfish and I can't stop moving. Um, but I haven't even thought about it. I think I might just be content.
I love that. Thank you so much for doing this with me. I really I knew when I met you, you were like my person. Like I love spending time with you in your store. And this was like such a pleasure to be able to spend an
Oh
hour.
my gosh, it's such an honor for you to even ask me. And yeah, you're definitely my kind of girl. I knew before I even met you with the name Silver that yeah, we were gonna be friends.
You either really like, that's where I really know who my peeps are. It's like, you really like are okay with it. And if you're not,
Yeah,
that's okay. Like you're
that's
not.
okay. Move along.
Thank you.